Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gearhart with Fireside. I'm here with Benjamin Markan of Remco Agency, the insurance agent of your dreams. Hi, Benjamin. Tell me what makes you special.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. So I think the biggest things that set us apart are our ability to educate people and as well as getting back to people in a very timely manner. We want to make sure that you have the proper coverage that you think is right for you and also be there when you need to use it. For instance, we had a client that called me on Saturday and they had a flood in their basement. A sump pump failed and they had an inch and a half of water throughout their entire finished basement. I got the voicemail, called them back within 20 minutes, got them on the phone with a restoration company who came out there later that day and started remediating any damage to make sure that there was no further damage. So we really pride ourselves on getting you the proper coverage and being there when you need to use it.
Excellent. So, who are your customers?
So our customers range. We handle the largest of the large and the smallest of the small. We handle all forms of business and personal insurance, and we have access to over 40 different insurance carriers. So on the personal side, we handle homeowners, auto, flood, jewelry, boats, everything from a renter's policy to a multi-million dollar home, investment properties, ground up construction, renovations. And on the commercial side, we handle general liability, workers' compensation, professional liability, cyber insurance, EPLI, which is handling for wrongful firing, sexual harassment, bonds. I've done everything as random as a kidnapping and ransom policy for a woman that did government work in the Middle East. So we really handle everything from vanilla to rocky road.
Wow.
Yes.
So, so how do your clients find you? Is it word of mouth? Do they find you on the internet or?
So we have the majority of the business is coming from referrals from current clients. And I also do a ton of networking as you and I were introduced to each other in that form.
Excellent. So, what should a homeowner have in a policy? And what should a business have in a policy? You said you give them what they need and what they think they need and want, not what you want to sell them. Right.
Correct. So everyone has a different idea of insurance. I just want to make sure that you're making an educated decision on what that is. Of course, there are thresholds that I wouldn't go below. But with any type of policy, it's not just about the policy limits, it's what is actually covered in the policy. So for instance, in your business, you can have a policy stating that you have $1 million of general liability coverage, but the policy forms, endorsements, and exclusions will actually show you what is and is not covered within that policy. I've seen roofers that are covered as carpenters and they're not actually covered, but it's easy to get a certificate. So it's the same thing in your homeowner's insurance, that you want to make sure that your limits of liability are covering the exposures that you actually need to be covering.
Okay. So, could you explain what an umbrella policy does?
Of course. So an umbrella policy is excess liability coverage. So excess liability coverage in case your underlying policy, and you can think of it as an umbrella that goes over your head. So it goes over on the personal side, over your auto, over your home, over your boat, over your secondary home. And if you have, let's say you need to have a minimum of $300,000 of your underlying home, auto, or whatever policy you're trying to get excess liability for. If something devastating happens, somebody dies, you're sued, and the $300,000 is not enough, your umbrella policy will kick in for excess liability in $1 million increments. And they're really not much more. So if you have one house and two cars, you might be paying an extra $300 for an extra $1 million of coverage over both the home and the auto. And the same thing on the business is excess liability above and beyond. If you have a restaurant, somebody gets food poisoning or something happens where somebody trips and falls and you're sued and your initial policy doesn't help, your excess liability will kick in. And the rule of thumb is you want enough liability to cover your assets, to make sure that nobody can ever go after you personally and that your policy will cover you fully.
So, right, if you own a business, especially, I think it's really important because you don't want to lose everything, right? So,
You don't want to lose anything.
you don't, yeah, you don't want to lose anything. So, what kind of things have you paid out on? I'm just curious.
Um, so I mean, there's a lot of different things. I mean, we have people, I have event planners who have been sued because something in the contract was not right from what showed up at the end product. I've had restaurants that were sued because of food that was ingested, or actually I had I had somebody who got bit by a bug in a donut shop and they sued. The most random claim that I had was a person who they fell in the city. So one of my clients has a location in the city and they had the grate open on the street. And there was a blind man being led by another blind man. So it was literally a blind leading the blind, and he fell down the grate. And there was a major injury. So that was covered. Um, Pipe bursts, fires. I had a tree go through someone's house. I mean, I joke around that I live in the land of God forbid scenarios. So we've really seen a lot of different things.
Well, and then when people do have an incident, like you were talking about the restoration thing, you help them get help to clean up or fix up whatever happened, right?
Yes, I say often that a claim is only as good as someone who's pushing behind it, because the person that is going out to adjust your claim from the insurance company is going out to many different claims. You are just another file on the desk. You need someone that is going to push and make sure that you get back in your home, you get back in your business, that whatever is going on, that you're indemnified. You're back no better, no worse than you were before. So I have a great crew of people with restoration teams. We have a full service team. We have a staff of 25 people. So we're always available and to assist you to make sure that you get back to normal as soon as possible.
Well, that's excellent. So if somebody wanted to talk to you about a policy, do you give a free consultation? Could they call you up and say, hey, Benjamin, I want to talk about my business, getting a liability for my business?
Always. I'm not one that goes out to sell. I'm really more of a consultative method. There's been a lot of times where people come to me with policies that I'll review, and I'll see that price wise and coverage wise, they're in the best place. And there's just a couple of tweaks here and there that need to be made in order to make sure that they have the comprehensive coverage that they need. So in that case, I'll tell them, please change A, B, and C and send them on their way. But I always want to talk to people about their coverage to make sure that they are covered properly and at the correct price. Because I find 80% of the time people don't have in New York, the no fault coverage that's needed, or there's little coverage things, little meaning little in price, but huge in coverage. And I really, again, going back to education, I want to make sure that people have what they feel is proper, because after you get a policy, people are always asking me, can I change this at any point in time? I said, yes, you can change this at any point in time, but you are not going to think of me until you get a bill or you need to use it. So you want to make sure that you're going off the bat with the correct coverage or before it happens. So I'm always here to answer questions, and I don't expect anyone to understand what insurance is at all.
Right. So somebody could come to you with a restaurant, say, and you could say to them, well, yeah, I've insured X number of restaurants in the past, and this is what I found they really need. And
Mhm.
this is what I think you need. And then the person can say, do I really need this? And then I guess you can have that discussion, right?
Right. I mean, one of my largest clients is a multi-million-dollar donut shop. And I found out when I came in to do a review that they didn't have food spoilage. So if the refrigerator failed or they had a power outage, all the dairy that they used to make the donuts, they would have been out. So it's something that's not a general liability coverage. It's not one of these main coverages that you think of. It's an ancillary coverage that you wouldn't possibly think of, or having direct utility damage. So if for some reason something happens to the utility failure, like utility fails, whether it be gas, electric, water, and you're displaced, do you have coverage for that? So during Sandy, when they shut down everything south of 14th Street, this was a coverage that was needed because they shut down all the power from there.
Exactly. I remember those painful memories of Sandy. Oh my gosh. Great. Well, is there anything else that people need to know about your insurance company?
No, just basically we are full service. There's nothing too big, too small, everything personal, everything business. And we're just here to help and educate and make sure that you're covered properly.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.